Well, Emily, I feel like I should have champagne in this mug, never mind a green tea, because this is a big day.
It is a big day. The champagne's on ice.
Good, as it always should be. This is a milestone moment for us. We are finally about to reveal what we have been working on behind the scenes, what we've poured our blood, sweat and tears into, how we've kept Sophie so busy. We're ready to make that reveal today and to share with our listeners the secret. Do you want to reveal the secret?
Sure, I'll do the honors. So we have built a single marketplace for any people and culture challenge. Our goal is that if you are a client, if you're a business, you can basically come to our platform and you can find experts in every aspect of people and culture. You can book a consultation, you can book them directly. Whatever challenge you have, we believe we've got a marketplace to book an expert to support you with that challenge.
Oh God, it's so exciting to hear you say that in real life. And I think our vision for this really was about democratizing access to talent and being able to do that in an accessible, on-demand way that we do in every other area of our life. If I want a holiday rental, I'm going on Airbnb. If I want a cab, I'm booking an Uber now. If I want a people and culture consultant, I'm going to TruthWorks.
I really love to hear you say that out loud. No, it's exciting. And I think where this whole idea started was exactly that. This is not new consumer behavior, but it's actually something that we feel has been missing from this space. We know there are so many fantastic independent experts out there, but they're not always visible to the clients that need their services. And no one has really done the job of truly curating them. And I use that word very specifically because this is not a platform that anyone can be on. It is actually a curated selection. It's our little black book, if you will. But these are people who've been verified and vetted by us and also who will be rated transparently by the HR leaders and businesses that use them. And that sort of transparency is something we've always been about, but now we're actually leveling up and bringing it to a wider audience.
And doing it at scale. And I think that's the other exciting part of this is we have got experts from every part of the people and culture journey around the world. Yeah. So we're for the first time able to say, you want a leadership development expert, you need a coach, you need a well-being strategist, you need a neuro-inclusion specialist. They'll be there, transparently rated, with clear day rates, ready to book on demand. And that feels like a massive gift to the industry, and it feels like a massive need for clients right now.
Absolutely. And I think what's really lovely about what we've built as well is it started with community. So this isn't just a transactional platform. Actually, there's so much more behind the platform that means that experts are actually unlocking their collective potential, working together, helping level each other up. We're going to have office hours for them to help share what they're working on. We're going to enable them to teach each other things they might not know, to share their different resources. And actually, that's where you start to get this hive mind release. And what it means is that both clients and experts are benefiting from collective potential, collective thinking, but also different expertises they wouldn't necessarily be bringing together otherwise.
Everyone wins in this scenario. We've got consultants and experts, independents that want access to briefs, to clients, to thought leadership opportunities, and most importantly, to community and learning. And then we've got clients who want access to talent, they want straightforward procurement methods, and they want access to smart minds and quality methodology. And this is the first place that all of that will come together and have a solution for.
I think it's something that we couldn't quite believe didn't exist in exactly the form that we wanted it to exist. Because where this idea came from really was the fact that as we're working with clients, we know that sometimes they have really specialist needs. And you can't always provide that as an independent. You know, you know your subject matter, you've got a great breadth of expertise in the people and culture space, but sometimes you need a perspective on neurodiversity or well-being or learning and development that goes a bit deeper than your average consultant can provide. And what we would realize time and time again, right, is that we would have these amazing networks of people that we could tap into, that we could bring onto briefs. So what we started thinking was, well, shouldn't clients also have access to this incredible little black book that we have of people who we trust, who are sort of our go-tos, who can be transparently put out there for the world to see and also to elevate them as well? Because I love the idea that we've been in the industry for, 20 odd years between us. And we know all these amazing people that don't necessarily get the recognition and the traction that they deserve. Some are really established, but some also are just there doing the hard work and not necessarily getting the flowers that they deserve as well.
I love also you've talked about truth and transparency, which are hallmarks of our brand and things that absolutely won't be going away. And they will continue to be features that we both hire for within our expert community, but also trade with our clients that, you know, on this platform. And I think of it like any other on-demand platform that you use, Airbnb, Uber, whatever it is, your checker trade, whatever that might be, where you need on-demand talent. And you want to get at it in an accessible and transparent way. That's what this will do for the people and culture industry. And truth and trust will be at the heart of it. Trust because, well, every single expert on that platform will have gone through a vigorous verification process by us. So there is a standard, a behavioral expectation. There's a mark of quality to every single expert that's on there. But hey, if our judgment isn't good enough, then I'm sure the judgment of fellow people and culture leaders who have booked those experts will be good enough, because every single member of the community that's on there will receive transparent ratings. So when you go to book Emily, I'll be able to see what she's particularly good at, what people particularly like her for. And I'll be able to book with that confidence that she's accredited and trusted, but she's also done this before, and I can see that transparently.
So you mentioned two of our values there, which aren't going anywhere. You know, we've always been about trust and we've always been about being truthful with our clients, but we've also been about being trailblazing. And I think this is hopefully what this platform enables us to do as well. Just think smarter about the way clients and consultants interact, but also bring consultants and experts who are much more forward-thinking in their approach, who aren't afraid to kind of come up with unique solutions or different ways of doing things. And you're just not getting those same cookie cutter models that I think a lot of our clients would fall into the trap of feeling, you know, I need to go to a big name, or I need to feel like I'm booking that same consultancy that, you know, we booked at my last place that I was working at. And we want to give them something else. We want to give them an option to book someone who is working on more of the cutting edge of the work that's being done in this space as well.
Yeah, I think it's about democratizing access to talent, everyone being able to access. And we think some of the brightest minds are in the independent space. And we also know, and the evidence shows, that more and more people are going independent. Some studies show as much as 50% of people in brand culture comms roles in Europe would go independent the next 3 to 5 years. That's massive. This space is only getting bigger, and therefore having a trusted, curated source for your people and culture needs in the independent space through a procurement process that you've been through once, you trust. You don't have to go through this 10, 15 times for each of your different needs. You can do it once, and then you've just got access to this portfolio of excellent people that have all got the same standard of rating. It feels like a no-brainer. And that's actually why I'm so excited about this idea, because it is disruptive in our industry. This hasn't been done before, but it has in adjacent industries. You can see it for the creative communities with things like Upwork and Fiverr, even starting to see it in some recruitment industries now as well. So we don't have to change consumer behavior here. Everybody, as humans, we want on-demand, accessible. We want this stuff in our pocket and trusted and verified. We want this. And I think that's why this feels so exciting to me, because we're simply opening up talent in a new way, but in a way that naturally, instinctively, we all want as people anyway.
You talked about more and more people going independent in the people and culture space, which I think was part of the trigger for us to create this platform as well. We saw that this isn't a trend that's going away. But when we did see our independent friends going back in-house, it was often because they hadn't really felt supported in being independent, and they'd lacked that feeling of connection and community, and also sort of the support that you get, you know, within an agency structure or a consultancy structure. And I think that's what we wanted to create with the community part of this platform as well. So we want people who are independent to feel like they can stay independent, they can grow in their independence, and they can thrive in that independence, as well as having access to these fantastic briefs from clients as well.
Yeah, I mean, that feels so key to me. And it's the probably the part of this that I've enjoyed the most over the last sort of 6 months or so is building that community and starting to create connections between community members, starting to actually enrich their professional lives as well, and collectively to raise the bar, to share this collective wisdom, to make sure that we are all learning from each other, even if we are independents. And I'm so happy that we've done that so far, and I'm really excited that the experts will still benefit from that in the future, but also that clients will too, because a possible disadvantage of using a pure independent person is that you wonder, like, where is their learning development coming from? How are they staying up to date with AI? All of that stuff. And now you know that you've got an independent expert bolstered by a hive mind. Like, that's mega.
And also the insights that come out of that hive mind as well. So what it's going to enable us to do as well is enhance our white papers and our reporting, you know, create things collectively as a community of real experts who are producing, hopefully, really pioneering and trailblazing thought leadership in some of these spaces as well, which I'm personally really excited about as well.
Yeah, I think there's that sort of cross-pollination, which is something I'm working with at the moment on a piece about the future of the manager. And I've got a clear hypothesis of where I want it to go and what it could be. But now I get the beauty of reaching out to our experts and getting their input too. And now I've just 10x'd the output that we would have done with these brilliant, beautiful minds that have had way more experiences than necessarily I have on my own. And that only feels like a good thing.
I think as well, it's easy when you look at some of these platforms in different spaces. The ones that are less successful, I feel, are the ones where it's very transactional. So it really feels like you just go there to book and then that's the end of your relationship. We really want both clients and experts to feel like this is a place they can also come for advice, for guidance on briefs. They can download templates that we've created as a community. And we can also provide resources, training, learning and development for their teams as well through the value of this expertise that we have on platform. So we really want people to keep coming back. And I think what was really powerful for me was when we were revealing this to our first cohort of experts, one of them just saying, "This gives me goosebumps," which was so moving, right? Because she said, "I've been here before and I've signed up to platforms sort of similar to this, but it was very much just a shop front. And there was nothing really behind it. Whereas I know because of the community you've built that there is much more that you want to do with this community."
Totally. And we've already proven that with the learning and development and all the stuff that we do with the community. That's only going up. I've been verifying our first tranche of experts this week, and within the feedback process that they all get as being part of the verification process, someone replied saying, "Wow, I was not expecting such helpful and accurate feedback." And you just think...
And you don't get that as an independent.
No, when do you ever
Who's
get
giving
that?
you really, really transparent feedback? You know, even when you ask for it from your clients, sometimes you don't get it, but you're not getting it from a professional that you respect or from your peers.
Yeah, and I think the piece of that feels really exciting also is that we've got such diversity of expert. Of course, they're all people and culture specialists, but gosh, that's a big old journey you can go through all the way through. And, you know, we've got neuro-inclusion specialists, ED&I specialists, leadership coaches. We've got the sort of more generalists like me that would work on, strategy to life or employer brands. But there's actually some really niche talent, and they're from around the globe. So we've not got a sort of bias to the Dutch or the Brits. We're actually being able to bring together a global community of people and give clients access to people they probably wouldn't have discovered before. As you said earlier, some of them have got incredible personal brands, and great. We're happy to have those people, but also shining light on the people that are just working hard and need access to that client, and we'll have that now.
Yeah. I mean, you said we've got interesting niches. I mean, I think like we had last week, we had Anna on the podcast, who is one of our community members and also one of our first cohort, who, you know, has a really interesting point of view on how learning and development can be bolstered by play and game theory. I think just tapping into minds like that is absolutely fascinating.
Yeah. And actually, do you know what? Sometimes clients just need a bit of inspiration. Anna is a great example of someone that can inspire you in a couple of hours. And yet when you go to work in the traditional structures with an agency or with a boutique, you can't book someone for a few hours or a day. You know, you are looking at retainers or you're looking at project fees. And of course, this platform, you'll be able to do that. You'll be able to book your longer term projects, even, you know, if you needed a secondment or a maternity cover, all of that's possible in the platform. But what's also possible is a day with someone. right, you need me just to come down and get in a room with you and sort out your HR strategy for one day and just give you an outline at the end and then you can run with it, fine. And I think that we talk about accessibility, and that feels also more accessible to me from the client's perspective. The clients that don't have big budgets, that can't afford, hundreds of thousands on HR consultants, fine. Maybe you just need a day with someone to help clear you, and so you can work through the strategy. And that feels like a really big perk of the system as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think also how much you can do on platform as well. So we've seen, a lot of collectives being formed, and that's nothing new. But I think what's powerful here is you can agree the scope of work on the platform. We're responsible for supporting the streamlined payment of your expert, and you have that level of support as well. You've also got, the trusted platform to work within, so that you're working with independents who might all have different processes, for example, but you're actually able to work in a really consistent way with anyone. And once you've established that way of working, it's actually very easy to go through that process time and time again as well.
Okay, so that's the platform. I think it would be a lie to say we just sort of clicked our fingers and now we have this shiny new TruthWorks.
I think it's also worth saying for anyone watching and thinking about doing something themselves in this space, or any
don't
founder,
do it.
Yeah, don't do it. It's not always been easy, to be fair. I think we've been on a journey of realizing just how hard putting something together like this is, both sort of on a personal level, but also on a professional level. Stephen Bartlett actually today was posting about being an entrepreneur and actually showing his vulnerable side of how challenging he finds it sometimes and why he's compelled to do it, but also realizes it's a thankless task.
And
Curious,
I saw someone else say, probably another great prophet on LinkedIn, saying that like only 1% of the world are entrepreneurs or something. And so when you're feeling
make it, and then you add women to that stat and say, and it's about 0.01.
That only 1% of people are entrepreneurs, and when it feels hard, it's because it is hard. It's because you're trying to do something that only 1% of people do. Why would that ever feel easy? And we're used to doing hard things, and actually doing this process has made me realize that I found the first thing quite easy.
Like, you thought you were working hard before?
Yeah.
Try and build a platform.
I think because what we did first is what I had done before.
Yeah.
Granted, it wasn't my business then, but I had done it and seen it grow and seen it get sold, and I sort of knew that track. And this has been harder for many reasons.
Yeah, definitely. I think also we were playing to our skills before, right? We are people and culture experts in our own right, which is partly why this is such an interesting business space for us to be evolving the narrative around and evolving the technology around. But we also were doing the doing. We were doing the work. We were relying on our brains and our expertise and getting the validation of doing a good job of that, right? Yeah. You get the constant positive reinforcement of,
finishing.
I am good at this. Great.
And something finishing. Yeah. You do a client job and then, well done, you're done.
Yeah.
It's not how it works when you're building a new business.
I delivered it. I was proud of the work. The client was happy. You get that constant sort of dopamine positive reinforcement of being good at what you do and delivering great outcomes for clients who we really care about, and we really value the work that we do for them. And then all of a sudden you're in uncharted territory.
I think that's probably been the hardest thing, that uncharted territory for me. Just that big step into the unknown, and into the sort of into the discomfort, I guess, as well. And that is, I'm not someone that necessarily likes to be in my comfort zone. In fact, as you know, I love a bit of adrenaline and a thrill here and there. But I like to do things with a guarantee of success. And
there are no guarantees in life, Rhiannon.
Well, and I think with this, that's what's been harder, is it has been a big step forward into the unknown. And it was a hard realization when I looked at TruthWorks 1.0, a business that I love and felt really passionate about it and the people within it. And it was still working. There was nothing wrong with it. It was still growing year on year. It was still making a profit. But having to have that conversation with yourself to say, but will it keep working? Will it outrun AI? Will it keep making money? Is it scalable? Is the impact we're having enough? And being able to hold that sort of dichotomy between short-term it working and long-term vision and ambition, maybe it doesn't fulfill that. And that was quite an uncomfortable sort of tension to have to work through. And then actually then having to make that second part real and take this step away from what works and what is comfortable and take a step right forward into the unknown, which I think would be hard for anyone, never mind someone that likes to do things with a guarantee of success. But also like this business carries a lot with it for me. I'm the sole incomer in my family. This is a business where I feel pressure at all angles. I want to make sure the people that work with us and for us have great experiences. And my people at home, I need to make sure that I'm building a business that is going to take care of them as well. And so taking such a big pivot and a big, inherently risky sort of divergence from what I knew and what I had planned did feel like a hard thing, and still does feel like a hard thing.
I always like to break things and make them new, as you know.
Yes.
I'm always thinking, I'm always have a slight restlessness about me, which is what else could we be doing? What more could we be doing? How else could we have an impact? Is this the thing that's going to leave a legacy for us as well? Which I know is something that you really care about as well. So for me, getting to that idea and taking the leap wasn't necessarily the hard part. It's been staying on the track.
It's actually the opposite. I found the process okay,
comfortable,
but the leap harder. Whereas I think for you, it's the opposite, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm the jump and then worry about if you have a parachute after kind of girl. But yeah, I think for me, when I take a leap, I always have an inherent belief in us and a belief that we will make anything great. And I believe in our partnership and our ability to get anything done. I also believe we've got a great team around us of people who have helped us build. But I do think for me, the daily grind of being in the detail, of realizing that there are a million different ways to troubleshoot every scenario, and, you know, compromising on things as well, not having features ready for your first launch that you would love to have, and that everything in your head that you want to achieve is not achievable in that first release as well, I think is something, realizing this is a journey and it's not something that you achieve overnight. It's something that's going to build and grow and be shaped over time has also been difficult for me because I want everything now and I want it to be ready. As huge and brilliant as I know that it will be, I want it to be there now. So
right now.
The stamina, the resilience to get up every day and do the detail and take those steps forward, I think has been difficult for me.
And stay the course with it. And not get distracted also. I think there are so many good ideas. And I think we've had to be really focused on what this idea is and what problem it solves and which audiences it speaks to. And staying focused on that as well, I think is a hard thing.
Would you give any advice to any other disruptors in the people and culture space? Because we love fellow disruptors, don't we?
I don't know. I would say it's specific for people and culture space, but I think having a strong founding team that you believe in must be half the battle, I think. And I know many entrepreneurs whose first business have failed because of the strength of the team that was trying to sort of bring that idea to fruition. So I would say the biggest thing to get right first is that founding team, and to really, I've worked with amazing people, we've employed amazing people at the TruthWorks, but really being clear on what you need to get you to that next point. And it was a hard decision for us when we contracted in size again and we came back down just to the three of us where we started, but it was 100% the right move. And I think that's definitely advice I would give, is just you should have no doubts about the team and you should be willing to like go to war for them. That needs to be the first thing. And then the second thing is that clarity of vision and where you're going. You don't have to have all the answers on the way there. You don't have to know the process back to front, and you certainly will change your course many, many times, but the end point needs to be crystal clear.
I really love that. I also think speaking to people along the way, I think it's really tempted to put your head down and just build. I think we were quite open with advisors. We ran focus groups. We spoke to procurement teams about what they would actually buy. And we tapped into our network and we showed our hand a little bit to people that we trusted and whose opinion we valued. And I think also knowing who to listen to and who not to listen to as well, because we had plenty of naysayers along the way who didn't think we'd get to our launch day, or who, didn't quite understand why we would try and create something in the way that we're creating it. But we also know our discipline, we know our audience, we know our buyer, and we know the community members that we've built. And actually now people are seeing what we have created. It feels intuitively right to them because we knew our audience and we knew what we were doing. So I think continuing to ask people's opinions, but also filtering those opinions, because you can listen to so much noise along the way and get waylaid.
Yeah, ask for it all, but then make a decision on which bits you listen to.
And trust your instinct as well. It's easier said than done, but I do believe there is a lot to be said for the knowledge that you have of your space, and know that the decisions you've made so far on the business have largely been right. So listen to that same instinct, even if you're going into a different space, still there.
Might be worth spending a few moments on what won't change as part of TruthWorks 2.0.
We don't want people to feel like this is a hard pivot, because in so many ways it's actually an evolution of what we've always done. Our values remain the same, and actually the experts we're bringing on board and the clients we hope will use this platform are actually people that share those values. We've always believed in truth fundamentally as a driver of change within an organization and a way to actually deal with what an organization needs. We've always spoken truth to power, and we hope that we'll have experts who do exactly that.
Yeah, well,
and clients that value it.
One of the things we're verifying them on is that ability.
Absolutely. We want to still be trusted. That's always been a calling card for us, is people recommending us, endorsing us, and fundamentally trusting our expertise. And now we're basically able to do that on a bigger level, because we're bringing in experts that we also will be verifying and vetting and making sure that they can deliver that same level of trust in the work and their expertise. And they'll also be verified by clients who review them after every job. So we'll be able to keep that standard really high. None of those things are changing. And then thirdly, we're going to be retaining that trailblazing value that we've always had. And for us, that's always been about disrupting the industry, which we're absolutely doing with this platform. But it's also been about creative ways into problems. We've never been strategists that have just given back decks that, show the insight and land a point. We've always found ways to deliver that message creatively for clients to engage with their employees in new and disruptive creative ways. And in fact, we're actually even going to have creatives on the platform.
Yes, creatives that are absolute specialists in people and culture. Now, if we're going like niche, like if you want to get to a rare breed of unicorn, this would be one, is people who understand the intricacies of employee experience and organizational culture, but their output is actually a creative product. And we will have our very best ones on the platform so that clients can get to a creative outcome if they need to. Some clients only do need strategy or consulting or proposition or a recommendation, but many also need to get to a campaign or a deliverable. And the beautiful thing about having a community is we're going to be able to create teams to be able to work together to deliver that and to still get a full end-to-end experience.
And in a much more streamlined and focused way, with two specific expertises coming together, rather than feeling like that's absorbed in the sort of traditional model.
For sure. And I think part of that absorption point is when a client is paying an agency for something that has a creative product at the end, the vast majority of the money is going to the agency. And that's where it's getting absorbed. Whereas if I was a client, I would feel much happier about knowing that my fee was going to the strategist and the creative that worked on this job. That feels good to me.
Yeah, knowing that direct payment is happening as well, for sure, and that you're paying directly for that creativity or that strategic expertise. The other thing that won't change is the two of us, and indeed Sophie as well, will still be bookable on the platform.
Yay!
So luckily for us, we do still get to flex our strategic and creative muscles.
Yeah, that's always been important to us, I think. And being able to lean into our specialisms and making sure that we're still, the clients that we have now that are attached to us and that we're attached to and that we love working with, they'll still be able to work with us in that way. And we'll also be able to introduce clients new and current to the reams of people that we've got on the platform that we trust, that we think would be great fits for them too.
So let's talk about, Rhi, why we think it was so important in building this platform that experts were able to show their day rate transparently.
Oh, we're going to talk about commercials, my favorite thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I just think it's something that's not talked about enough, particularly with women. And it often is something that people shy away from, being scared to mention numbers or costs. Whenever we've hired anyone, we've always been super transparent about the figure on offer. We don't often negotiate with freelancers. We try and respect the value that's attached to these things. And I think that philosophy came through in how we wanted to approach this from a pricing perspective. So every platform member will set their own day rate, and the client will see that. They'll work together to be able to develop what the actual requirement is, as to how much the end total is, but clients will be able to see, if I want this sort of talent in this sort of market, this is just the price.
Yeah.
And if there are people who are way under or way over, we'll be able to give them that guidance or that insight to help them.
Often experts are way under. And they've priced themselves much lower than the competition in the market.
And especially for our emerging consultants, we've actually got quite a few emerging consultants, which is brilliant because we've got fresh thinking at an accessible day rate. But these people don't know how much to be putting themselves in at. And if we could go back sort of like 10 years, what price would you actually have charged for the value you were delivering? It would have been a lot higher. So that feels good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think often what you're paying for is sort of brand reputation versus deep expertise. It's not always the most specialized experts that feel they can command a fair day rate in the market. So what I really like is it becomes much more democratic, much more open, much more transparent. And we start to see the industry really leveling itself competitively and confidently. We don't believe we're going to see undercutting from experts because of this community value that we have, and because really the experts are there to support each other. I think what you're more likely to see is people pricing themselves where they see others with similar skill sets and similar expertise, which starts to create a fantastic leveling effect. And clients know they're also getting great value for their money.
The proposition of truth really helps with that, because instead of having sort of subjective goods and bads or observations of the people that work with us, instead we can focus on truth-telling, telling a story, speaking truth to power, doing something that brings an audience with you. You know, all of that stuff means that over the years, we've been able to actually craft a proposition and a set of methodologies that do flex to different styles, to different specialisms, which means that we will be able to benefit from a huge amount of diverse minds and diverse outputs, but they will all be united by this concept of truth.
Yeah, I always come back to that as well. I think the last thing that is hard or challenging, or just something that we're going to be thinking about going forward, is launch is obviously one moment, and we're excited for you all to start using it from early Feb. What we are going to be relying on is our trusted network, people who've followed our journey for a long time, people to help us get the word out there. So we'd love your support and your advocacy. If you believe in Rhiannon and I and the TruthWorks and what we've been doing and the quality of work that you've seen us do over the last years, we'd love you to share this and try it and be some of the first people to sign up. And we'd love your feedback, I think is worth saying. But we'd also love investment. So
yeah, I wondered when you were getting to that bit.
Let's get real about the funding gap for female founders.
Yeah, and I think actually you said earlier about giving ourselves a little bit more grace, or a bit more kindness, whatever. And I think one of those things is getting to this point without investment. We were really, really fortunate that very recently we actually did get an investment from someone, a small amount, and it has been used and useful and appreciated. But we have come a long way with building a whole second business, basically self-funded. So I would give us a round of applause for that, as well as still paying ourselves and our employees and freelancers that we work with, so, and our advisors. So that's been amazing. It can't go on forever, sadly. So we will be looking for investment. It was always important to us to be able to get this product launched so that we could actually show the proof of concept, show the idea. We've already got a queue of experts wanting to be on the platform. And every time we talk about this with clients, there's big nods. We've done so many focus groups now with clients, procurement people. We know that there's a real appetite for this. So we wanted to get to that point, but now we're at that stage. It is definitely a point of needing to look out wider and look for investment. And that will be another big learning phase for us. That's something that's new to us. We've never done it before.
Yeah. But we are a business that has turned a profit for 6 years, and we know how to make money in this space.
We've grown year on year. We've never had any outside funding. And we've got a business to be really proud of. Nothing was wrong with the TruthWorks 1.0.
Exactly.
You know, it was doing amazingly, and it still does do amazing work. But it was time to think about how we could leverage all of our strengths and beliefs and the philosophy behind it and make it more accessible and get it to affect more lives and, you know, create better workplaces. And this is the path to do that.
And we already know what we're going to use that funding on. You know, there's a lot of marketing to be done around this product.
Marketing and
getting the word
technology,
out there.
basically.
And we have a huge wish list for our product roadmap that we also want to get out there. So help us build features that are going to change the game for the industry and for all of you. In essence, if you want to invest in the truth, now is exactly the time to do that.
The truth still works. Now it just works harder.
Exactly. Loved this episode. So excited. And can't wait to hear what everyone thinks.
Now, shall we get that champagne?
Absolutely.